Tucked away in a quiet corner of Texas, far from the usual spotlight, lies a small town called Smiley. Its main street is eerily still, with only the occasional rumble of an old truck rolling over cracked asphalt. Along the roadside, a row of vintage storefronts stands in quiet defiance of time, their peeling paint and weathered facades whispering stories of generations that have come and gone. Beyond the town's edge, endless cotton fields stretch toward the horizon, painting a rural landscape untouched by the passing years. Life here moves at a slow, steady rhythm, free from the clamor of big cities and unbothered by the relentless march of modernity that defines much of America. Smiley may be small, and to some, it may seem forgotten, but beneath its quiet exterior, life hums along in its own unshakable way. Tucked away in the heart of Texas, the town of Smiley sits at the crossroads of U.S. Highway 87 and Farm Roads 3234 and 108, about 25 miles south of Gonzales County. It was the promise of abundant water from a long, natural lake that first drew settlers here in the 1840s. The earliest recorded inhabitants camped along its shores, and over time, the land began to attract more visitors, primarily horse breeders and cattle ranchers. While cattle and sheep were already being raised in the region, horses were the true commodity of value. By the mid-19th century, around 20 families had settled near the lake, raising livestock and cultivating farmland along its banks. The town officially took root in the 1870s when a trader and sheep rancher named John Smiley made the area his home. Over time, the settlement became known as Smiley Lake, though both names, Smiley and Smiley Lake, were used interchangeably in its early years. The wealth generated from horse trading allowed residents to invest in the land. One of the early settlers, George Colley from Georgia, established the town's first factory in 1879, a horse-powered cotton gin and lumber mill. The mill processed local elm and other trees into fencing materials, as barbed wire had yet to be introduced. Between 1880 and 1906, Smiley's economy began to take shape. Businesses sprang up, including saddle factories, wire fence manufacturers, chair makers, blacksmith shops, a newspaper office, a pharmacy, grocery stores, as well as schools, churches, and a post office. When the cotton industry declined in the 1930s, Smiley shifted its focus to poultry farming, both for meat and eggs. Surprisingly, by the 1940s, this small community had gained a reputation as one of the leading poultry hubs in the United States. Smiley's economic appeal was fueled by affordable land, an absence of urban congestion, and a cleaner environment. These advantages, along with its growing agricultural economy, spurred development. During the 1940s and 1950s, State Representative and House Speaker Durwood Manford championed legislation that secured funding for Smiley's first highway, finally linking it to Gonzales. By the 1980s, the town's population had grown from just a handful of families to over 500 residents. Today, Smiley continues to take pride in its progress, with key developments including 2 federally funded housing projects, an improved wastewater system, and upgrades to the town's water supply. However, as with any development, there were trade-offs. The once thriving Smiley Lake is now just a memory. Instead, the town relies on deep artesian wells to provide water for homes and businesses. Even so, Smiley's residents remain resilient, adapting to new challenges while preserving the town's enduring spirit. Covering just 1.5 square miles, or about 1.3 square kilometers, Smiley is one of the smallest towns in the United States. According to the World Population Review, its population in 2025 is estimated at only 492 residents. Though tiny, the town is slowly growing, with an annual population increase of 0.41%, marking a 2.07% rise since the last census in 2020, which recorded 482 residents. The median age in Smiley is 31.4 years, and its racial composition reflects a predominantly white population at 77.49%, followed by 7.5% identifying as other races, with smaller percentages of Black or African American, Native American, Asian, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, and multiracial residents. About 90.5% of Smiley's population holds U.S. citizenship. Like many small Texas towns, Smiley's economy revolves around agriculture, livestock, and related industries. However, urbanization and economic shifts pose challenges to population stability and job opportunities. Still, one of Smiley's strongest selling points is its remarkably low cost of living. With a cost of living index of 78.1, Smiley is 21.9% cheaper than the U.S. national average. Housing is particularly affordable, with the typical home price at $160,100, a stark contrast to the national average of $338,100. For renters, a two-bedroom unit costs around $850 per month, significantly lower than the U.S. average of $1,430. Despite its affordability, Smiley's remote setting and small population make it feel almost abandoned, like a ghost town. Even before dusk, the streets are nearly empty. Few people are seen outside, and only the occasional car passes by. For first-time visitors, the eerie quiet can be unsettling. The town's aged houses and towering, gnarled trees along the roads only add to its haunting atmosphere. Yet, beneath this stillness, Smiley fosters a close-knit community spirit, especially during its two annual festivals that bring residents together. The Nixon Smiley Community Fest is a vibrant event featuring live music, food stalls, and family-friendly activities. It serves as a rare opportunity for locals to gather, support small businesses, and enjoy performances by well-known regional bands. Meanwhile, Bantam Fest, hosted by the Smiley Bantam Activity Group, embraces tradition with music, games, and other community festivities. More than just a yearly celebration, this festival strengthens neighborly bonds and keeps the warm, small-town spirit alive in a place that otherwise feels untouched by time. As mentioned earlier, Smiley faces significant challenges, particularly when it comes to maintaining its population. While the town's low cost of living may seem appealing, its lack of public facilities and limited economic opportunities makes it difficult for residents, especially younger generations, to build a future here. The absence of quality healthcare, well-equipped schools, and modern infrastructure has driven many to seek better opportunities in larger, more developed cities. Limited access to public transportation and a stagnant job market further weaken Smiley's ability to attract and retain residents. Economically, Smiley is struggling. Many local businesses find it hard to survive, and the town center is marked by aging storefronts and vacant buildings, clear signs of economic decline. The town's median household income is $56,929, but with a poverty rate of 34.52%, financial hardship is a harsh reality for many families. Although crime is not rampant, petty offenses have increased, likely as a consequence of economic instability. At its core, Smiley, a town whose name suggests happiness, continues to rely on agriculture and small businesses to sustain itself. However, without new investments, economic diversification, and infrastructure development, its future remains uncertain. From a tiny settlement of just 20 families to a town that saw modest growth by the 1980s, Smiley was once part of Texas's rural expansion. But, like many other small towns, it has struggled against urbanization, lack of infrastructure, and dwindling economic prospects, forcing many of its residents to leave in search of something more.